Farm Week is a production of the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Today on Farm Week, 2 beef cows are dead as a result of anthrax in Coahoma County. It's probably due to last year's flooding.
In Southern Gardening, we'll preview the garden and patio shows to be held on the coast and in Jackson.
In the markets, catfish supplies and sales inch up, while beef prices are still forecast to remain high.
In the feature segment, we'll have highlights of the 2012 Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions. A new record for winning bids was set. One thing didn't change though, it still takes hard work to make it to the big sale.
You can't just say, oh, I don't want to do it today. You have to do it every day. It's not just a 5-minute thing either. It's more like an hour or an hour and a half a day. It's worth it when you get the shake of the hand from the judge. It really is worth it.
Good day, everyone. I'm Amy Taylor.
And I'm Leighton Spann. Welcome to Farm Week.
The Mississippi Board of Animal Health is not encouraging panic, but it is encouraging livestock producers to be aware of one confirmed case of anthrax that's been reported in a Coahoma County cattle herd.
Amy, State of Mississippi veterinarian Jim Watson told Farm Week that it is unusual for anthrax to strike this time of year, but he's actually been on the alert for it since the flooding of last spring. Cases of anthrax are rare, but when they occur, it's usually after floods. 2 beef cows were reportedly found dead and a small herd of 7 which were being grazed on the Mississippi River levee, an area that was flooded last year. One of the animals was tested and it proved positive for the bacterial disease. The other animals in the herd have been vaccinated against anthrax and adjacent herds are being vaccinated as well. Anthrax has occurred in this area before. The last big outbreak happened in 1990 and 1991 in Mississippi. State veterinarian Watson reminds viewers anthrax occurs naturally in the environment all over the world. It generally appears when dry weather follows flooding. He's been on the alert for it since the flooding last spring. The western delta in Mississippi is typically where it occurs. Watson said the flooding apparently disturbs the soil, allowing the anthrax spores to come to the surface. The soil is then dried out by dry weather. The spores are spread along with the dust. Animals eat the spores as they graze. Grazing animals such as cattle, horses, sheep, and goats are the most affected. Watson advises livestock producers in flooded areas to consider vaccinating their grazing animals against anthrax, especially if they're in an area where it has occurred in the past. It takes about 14 days for immunity to develop after vaccination. Animals cannot be sold for slaughter 2 months following vaccination. Unexplained deaths of grazing animals should be reported to your local veterinarian and the Mississippi Animal Board of Health. The board's hotline number toll-free is 888-646-8731. We'll also have some links on the Farm Week website and Facebook page that deal with precautions, symptoms, and so forth. Again, that's farmweek.msucares.com. Now, what about humans and anthrax? Well, it is very rare for humans to contract the disease these days. Precautions should be taken when dealing with dead animals that may have had anthrax. However, the chance of humans contracting the disease from spores in the environment is very, very low.
It's legal for gasoline with 15% ethanol to be sold in the United States. The Environmental Protection Agency said E15 has cleared its final hurdle. The EPA decision will allow retailers and fuel companies to register to sell the fuel. E15 is made up of 15% ethanol and 85% gasoline. It's approved for use in cars starting with a 2001 model year. The EPA says that's about 70% of the vehicles on the road today. The American Coalition for Ethanol says E15 could save drivers 12 to 15 cents per gallon compared to straight gasoline. Are you getting excited about this year's warm season garden? In this week's Southern Gardening segment, Extension horticulturist Dr. Gary Bachman says the Gulf Coast Garden and Patio Show and its Jackson counterpart are great places to see the latest plants and get gardening advice.
Spring is almost here and it's time to get excited about gardening. So get your calendar out. I'm going to tell you about 2 gardening events that are sure to get you fired up. The Gulf Coast Garden and Patio Show is March 2nd, 3rd, and 4th at the Mississippi Coast Coliseum in Biloxi. The Jackson Garden and Patio Show will take place on March 16th, 17th, and 18th at the Mississippi Trade Mart at the State Fairgrounds. The garden and patio shows are the places to find the hottest and newest trees, flowers, and shrubs for your landscape. These shows are truly a gardener's paradise. The Mississippi Garden and Patio Shows began in 1998 as a partnership between Mississippi State University, Mississippi Department of Agriculture and Commerce, and the Mississippi Nursery and Landscape Association. The shows are designed with the whole family in mind, and children will love all of the activities. All of your favorite vendors will be on hand with the latest plants and shrubs for 2012, along with equipment and gear that will make your chores a little easier. You'll also find beautiful fountains and water features and other garden accessories. Gardening experts will provide free seminars all 3 days. You can have your soil tested for free, and experts from Mississippi State University Extension Service will be on hand to answer your gardening questions. So make plans to attend one or both of these great garden events. The Gulf Coast Garden and Patio Show is March 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in Biloxi, or the Jackson Garden and Patio Show is March 16th, 17th, and 18th. I'll be there, and I hope to see you there too. I'm Gary Bachman for Southern Gardening.
And Gary says if you're looking for new landscape ideas, the displays at the Garden and Patio Shows are a good place to start. In the feature segment, the 2012 Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions. A record amount was bid and a record number of college scholarships were awarded. Time now for the markets with Leighton and some record high prices for cattle this month.
That's right, Amy, but some are wondering if the fundamentals of the market can really justify those high prices. Also ahead this week, U.S. catfish processing remains down. Cotton prices remain under pressure, and new crop soybean prices gain support from exports as well as some other factors. Catfish processing is still down, but not quite as much as previous months. The industry snapshot for January was released on Tuesday of this week. It shows the average pond bank price being paid to U.S. producers as the new year began was $1.25 per pound. That is 31 cents per pound higher than 1 year ago. Farm sales totaled well over 25.5 million pounds round weight, a decrease of 26% from January 2011. Processor sales were just over 13 million pounds, also down 26%. Extension Ag economist Dr. John Michael Riley has been looking over that new report as well as numbers on the U.S. catfish supply situation. He joined me Thursday morning to answer further questions about the aquaculture sector and where it may be headed. So, John Michael, it's pretty much more of the same as we look at these new numbers?
It is. We've talked in the past when we talk about catfish for a little bit of period there, contraction across the industry. Past year or two, we've seen the contraction slow to more of a drip as opposed to a gush. Water acres are pretty steady across Mississippi and really across most of the southeast. The same is kind of true as you look at production numbers, although these production numbers are continuing to fall, not near at the rate that we once were at. But the general consensus is that as a result of high feed prices, of lackluster pond bank prices for the catfish, that the supply of these of total fish available has decreased, is continuing to slowly decrease, and as a result, farm prices have been bumped up. Although the price at the processor door for the fish has started to come down just a little bit. It's fallen a few cents per month ever since September. But the general story is that prices are higher, but they need to be higher as a result of the higher input cost.
How is demand shaping up? As we've talked before here, the prices that restaurants have to pay to have the fish for their seafood buffets or whatever is obviously more now. How is demand? Are restaurants still putting the money out there?
Well, if you look at shipments, or if you look at process totals, they're falling as a result of less fish. But in terms of the amount that's being bought by restaurants, I think that's remained steady. One of the bright spots has been exports. Exports were up about 150% if you look across 2011, which is very strong for the industry, and largely due to weakness in our U.S. dollar. So it made all of our products cheaper, and catfish is another one of our ag commodities that took advantage of that. So I think demand, is one of those fickle things, especially for catfish, because it's not as widely accepted in terms of the general public. But for the most part, especially in places like Mississippi in the southeast where catfish is very endeared, demand has remained steady, if not even in the light of higher prices.
So kind of summing all this up, it appears that producers will be able to continue to see prices at the pond bank about where they are right now.
I think the growth the robust growth has started to slow down, and we're probably going to continue to see steady prices, but that should be expected.
From fish to cattle now, where rebuilding the herd is a common point of discussion in the markets. Analyst Naomi Bloom recently points to some recent numbers to explain why she thinks the current positive market trend will continue this year.
The one surprise in the USDA report and the inventory report was that they increased heifers being held back for breeding by 1.4%. So what that means is that for the short term, the next year, there's not going to be a lot of supply for the marketplace for beef, but they are trying to rebuild the herd, and that's going to be coming up 2 years down the road. But in the meantime, that beef price is going to stay high. It's been high. It's going in at the retail sector. The price is up, and the choice value is up about 10% from a year ago. The select price is up 8% about a year ago, and it probably is going to continue on that path.
Our trivia quiz marks the transition point in the markets, and here's the subject for this week. What country purchased the most gallons of U.S. ethanol in 2011? The answer is one of these: Brazil, Canada, the Netherlands, or Great Britain. I'll tell you the right choice in a few more minutes.
We're going to pause now for a short break on Farm Week. Coming up, we'll look at the calendar and the second part of the markets. Leighton Spann reports cotton prices take a tumble while a shut-down plywood mill burns in Mississippi. In the feature segment today, the 2012 Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions. Records were set for bids and scholarship money. One goat sold for $100 a pound.
The Gulf Coast Garden and Patio Show is coming to Biloxi March 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Vendors will be selling 2012's hot new plants and garden accessories. There will be seminars, experts to answer questions, indoor gardens to give you ideas, and fabulous door prizes. Join us for the Mississippi Nursery and Landscape Association's 11th annual Gulf Coast Garden and Patio Show, March 2nd through the 4th at the Mississippi Coast Coliseum in Biloxi, sponsored by WLOX and the Sun Herald.
Before we get back to the markets, let's look at the Farm Week calendar. 3 timber tax workshops will take place in late February through late March. These are for landowners, certified accountants, consulting foresters, and loggers. Registration is $35 for one person, $50 per couple. Classes run from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Please register ahead of time. The first is Tuesday, February 28th in Raymond. The second is Thursday, March 1st in Coffeyville. The last will be Thursday, March 29th in Oxford. We'll have contact numbers on our Farm Week calendar. Mississippi State University's 22nd annual Greenhouse Tomato Short Course takes place Tuesday and Wednesday, March 6th and 7th. The early registration deadline has passed. The price is now $150. It takes place at the Eagle Ridge Conference Center at Raymond. Go to our Farm Week website at farmweek.msucares.com for information on these and other events. Now, let's check out this Farm Week snapshot.
What was left of an empty plywood mill currently being dismantled in southwest Mississippi burned earlier this month. The plant in Gloucester had been closed since 2009. It was operated by Georgia Pacific. The fire reportedly began not long after salvage workers had left the site for the day. The blaze is still under investigation. Cotton futures tumbled this week as forecast of a further increase in world stocks weigh on the market. Analysts at DTN say the problem continues to be production exceeding mill use. Another negative factor for prices comes out of China this week. The government there is about to end its purchases of domestic cotton for strategic reserves. That happens on March 1st. Well, corn is poised to grab more U.S. acres from soybeans this year. This according to analysts with the CME Group. However, beans have climbed to 4-month highs, and there is some lingering uncertainty about South American soybean production in the marketplace. Analyst Virgil Robinson had these comments for Market to Market's Mark Pearson on what could be ahead for the soybean sector.
I think there's something of an acreage battle looming, particularly with the recent change in the new crop soybean, new crop corn price ratio. So old crop beans, Mark, if I had any, I don't have any. If I had any, I would be patient if my balance sheet permitted that.
Right. Yep.
And sustain that inventory moving forward for at least a while longer. Minimum price comes to mind with respect and/or insurance programs with the new.
Time to backtrack now to our trivia quiz and conclude this segment of Farm Week. The top foreign customer for U.S. ethanol last year was Brazil, to the tune of over 395 million gallons. So A is the correct answer.
In the feature segment today, this year brought a few surprises to the Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions. The event welcomed newly elected officials, a record for total sales and scholarships, new fashion trends, and even the weather cooperated. As usual, top quality animals sold for anywhere from $5,000 to over $20,000 each. But probably the biggest wow factor of the sale was a shocking change nobody expected.
At the Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions, there are several things you'll see every year. Beautifully groomed, finely bred livestock, hard-working exhibitors, highly coveted trophies, high-dollar bidders, and fancy apparel. And yes, the new fashion is to have your show stick covered in bling. But this year, there was one huge difference that no one saw coming.
The 2012 Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions experienced many new changes this year, with a new governor, ag commissioner, and bidders welcomed the warmer temperatures. But probably the most surprising change was the relocation of the sale itself. From the arena you see here
to the much larger, climate-friendly Mississippi Trade Mart. For longtime patrons, this was a shocker. The first Sale of Champions was in 1970, and for as long as most can remember, it's been in the Dixie Sales Arena, where an empty seat can't be found. Now, it almost seems strange having this much room. The result of the 2012 sale was a huge success, with a record total of $299,000, passing the old one of $279,000. A record high price for a goat was also set at $100 a pound. In addition, there's a new scholarship record with 34 awarded, totaling over $51,000. Tucker Wagner says making it to the sale was the best way to end his show career. Despite comments from others about his commitment to showing, he testifies that livestock projects are ideal for developing life skills.
People that haven't been around this, I mean, it is strange that, you know, we take so good care of our cows and pigs and goats or whatever. They definitely think it's strange that we spend more time with our cows than we do, you know, playing video games or watching TV or things like that. But I think livestock showing is one of the best things you can do to, you know, better you in your future, because you learn so much about responsibility and leadership skills and teamwork, and a bunch of this money goes back into a scholarship fund.
Wagner says a certain percentage of sale earnings go toward the scholarship awards. And even though $20,000 for a steer is a lot of money, it's not really all profit.
Our feed bill is, I don't even want to say what it is because it's so bad, but you know, it takes a lot of money and a lot of time, and you know, it's not all pocketed at the end. You know, you've got to pay the bills.
Additionally, Wagner says the money will go toward developing his family's cattle herd so they can raise their own show animals. Scholarship winner Miranda Stevens and Sale of Champions exhibitor Jacob Bell both say working with animals teaches perseverance and determination.
They don't just work the way you want them to every day. They wake up in a different mood just like we do every day. So even if they're being a little ornery, we have to just stick with it and keep working with them.
You can't just say, oh, I don't want to do it today. You have to do it every day. It's not just a 5-minute thing either. It's more like an hour or an hour and a half a day. It's worth it when you get the shake of the hand from the judge. It really is worth it.
In addition, Bell describes the moment he knew his lamb won grand champion.
I was really nervous and my hands were all sweaty and I was freaking out inside. I was looking at my lamb's feet trying to decide if I should move it or not, and he kind of like whistled like to get me out of looking, and then he shook my hand. So it was really exciting.
Bell says this is his first time to ever make the sale. As for the additional perks of showing livestock, Miranda Stevens says many exhibitors become lifelong friends.
I probably have more friends here in the livestock and through 4-H than I do in high school, because almost every weekend and a lot of the important weekends in my life, I'm going to be at livestock shows with all the people here.
Also, Stevens credits Mississippi State University Extension Service agents and other volunteers for inspiring her career goals as she weighs her options between physical therapy and livestock.
Lately, I've just realized how much help my extension agent and all the other volunteers have helped me do things that I've wanted to do. I just like the livestock aspect and environment of life. So either physical therapy or I'll go into Mississippi State Extension.
Stevens says whatever path she chooses, she'll use the skills she learned to achieve success. Many livestock exhibitors go on to become great contributors to their communities, which is why newly elected Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant and various business leaders support the Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions.
We've got people from all over the business community in the state of Mississippi here at this sale today, and they don't have to do that. They get called on quite a bit to contribute to support. Representatives of congressmen's offices are here. We're continuing to remind people that agriculture, ranching, and growers are so important to the economy of the state of Mississippi. Everybody wants the high-tech industries, and those are great, but it's the land that Mississippi is famous for. These children here are going to be our future ranchers and growers and farmers. We've got to continue to support agribusiness.
Governor Bryant showed his support by teaming up with other elected officials and business leaders to purchase an animal. Newly elected Mississippi Commissioner of Agriculture and Commerce, Cindy Hyde-Smith, who is also a longtime supporter of the sale, says this is a good way to showcase agriculture in the state.
This is a really good year for agriculture. A lot of the markets are up. I know the cattle prices are good. And, it just gives us that boost that we need to get out there and provide that safe, affordable food for Mississippians.
Additionally, Smith commented on her hopes to improve the grounds of the Mississippi Trade Mart Center and Coliseum.
We want to make some improvements down here, and we're working on a private-public partnership with naming rights for our Coliseum. So that will bring in the private dollars that we need to enhance and capitalize on what we have.
Smith also joined in with fellow buyers to purchase a Sale of Junior Champions animal. Tucker Wagner says he will always be grateful to generous buyers and volunteers who make this event possible. In addition, he has many to thank for helping him succeed.
I don't know where to begin when you thank people. My mom and dad, they've been so supportive over the past few years. I never thought they would haul me all over the country to cow shows, but when I asked, they do. My FFA advisor, Mr. Johnson, he's like my second dad. I don't know what I would do without him. He's helped me so much, and he's gotten me a bunch of scholarships and in with the right people many times. And then my cousin Leanne, she's also a 4-H agent in another county, and she's I don't know what to say about her. She's just awesome. She's really helped me get our steers where they need to be, and feeding the cattle, and she's really an asset.
When looking at the 2012 Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions, it can be said that no matter how it changes, the event will always be about supporting young people and securing great leaders for the future. From Jackson, Mississippi, I'm Amy Taylor reporting.
You can watch this story again on our Farm Week Facebook page, YouTube, or our Farm Week website at farmweek.msucares.com. We'll have links and telephone numbers there for you to find out more about junior livestock shows in Mississippi. You can contact your county office of the Mississippi State University Extension Service to join Mississippi 4-H. Participation through Mississippi FFA is available at many public schools. Once again, that's farmweek.msucares.com. And Leighton, I found this out after the sale had already been completed. Alexandra Pittman, a young lady that we have actually had on Farm Week in a Farm Week feature before, is donating her proceeds from that $100 a pound goat to her friend with spina bifida.
Just one of those many behind-the-scenes stories that we don't often hear about.
That's right. Character building definitely makes you want to help other people when you succeed in life.
Well, thank you, Amy. We are at the end of Farm Week for this week. On our next show, food deserts.
It's hard to believe that in America, simply finding a nearby supermarket can be hard to do. The problem is not limited to urban areas. It can occur in rural areas as well.
In Southern Gardening, we'll let you in on some grower secrets that they use to raise beautiful plants.
For the rest of the Farm Week crew, I'm Amy Taylor.
And I'm Leighton Spann. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week.